What's going on, guys? Screenwriter Dave here. So I had this really cool idea hit me while I was on stream once. Just to kind of give you some context and backstory, I was on stream and I took off extra diegetic sounds, which I'll get into in a second. I also had no HUD on, no music, basically just no sound effects. And it was just kind of, this is going to sound funny, but it was just kind of raw Sifu. That got me to thinking it'd be really fun to experiment with something that you can consider a real life mode of fighting in the game. And so these are the mods that kind of came to mind to, you know, piece together for this concept. As you can see, I have permanent damage on, so you're not recovering health because, theoretically in real life you wouldn't recover health just because you beat someone. I put on the infinite structure because structure feels more like a gaming mechanic than it does, being indicative of real life. I'm sure there's some very nebulous, figurative concept of structure, but for the purposes of this, I'm kind of keeping it out. If we scroll down, I also have the shrine rewards disabled. We're not getting buffed because, again, in real life, you're not just going to get buffed like that. I took out focus, which is somewhat debatable, but I think it's fun here. I think in real life you're not going to get the opportunity to slow down time like that and choose attacks. And this is coming from someone who's a big proponent of at least having focus just in case. But I mean, this is quote unquote real life mode. And then what else do I have? So lethal weapons. I think in real life the weapons would do a lot more damage. I mean, we're getting sliced and shit in this game, and it's doing a little bit of damage, but I think in a real life concept, they would be a lot worse. And this goes for both. This goes for myself as well as the enemies. It goes both ways. Starting age, I made 30 just because I wanted to. Everyone who has their full game runs, it tends to be either you're 20 and you're trying to stay 20, or you're 70. So I just figured, just to kind of mix things up, I wanted to choose an age in between those ages. And then lastly, actually maybe not lastly, but we'll see if it is actually. Yeah, it is lastly. Lastly, the most important thing I think is no pendant. When you die, you die. That's it. Because this is quote unquote real life. You're not recovering health, and when you die, you die. So I'll have an example of that on the tail end of this intro before I get into the full runs, and we'll go into what the enemies are all about. I tagged on unlimited threats because in real life you're going to get jumped, so why not have that on? As you can see, I didn't really mess with attack enemy speed. I don't know if that's super balanced enough in this game to really apply it here. You can make a case for it, but the fact that you can increase the enemy attack speed, but you can't increase your main character's attack speed, I think is a really big deterrent for me. The enemy level is stronger. Everyone's gonna die. I'm not even sure if it really makes much of a difference. I would keep that off because if this is real life, in real life people go down in a few hits. Fights do not last very long, so I'm keeping that off. You got the unlimited threats, and look, the enemies also do more damage with their weapons, so you got to be really careful, like you would have to be in real life. So, the other thing, the idea of structure, not being a factor, I'm applying that to enemies as well. So there's no takedowns. Again, debatable. In real life, you wouldn't get the opportunity to pause the action to perform takedowns. So, granted, all of the takedowns in and of themselves are very indicative of real life movements. They're not ultimates or anything, but for the purposes of real life mode, I think it's appropriate to have it health only. So that's what I had on. For some reason I thought about putting Relentless Goons on just for the funsies, but no. I mean, if I don't have stronger enemies on, then the same reasoning for not having that on applies to Relentless Goons. People who go down are just going to stay down. So yeah, none of this other stuff would work for this. So yeah, this is real life mode. I'll show you a clip of me fighting for my life, and then hopefully I can do the whole game like this. So enjoy. So if you notice, there wasn't like that extra kind of punchy bang sound to when the enemies were killed here. You'll also notice there's no music. It's just like I said again. It's gonna sound funny, but it's just raw Sifu. Here are the list of mods if anyone's interested. Hopefully someone else tries this out. Sorry. Wait, how do you? Oh, okay. Yeah, here goes the list of mods for anyone interested. And also, here's how I'm choosing to do this with no HUD, just because again I want it to feel almost like it's from the perspective of the protagonist. In real life, he's not going to hear that really cool OST. The only exception I'll have is for I would say the first half of the club. It would make sense for there to be music playing there. So I'll try to sort that out. There might be like an interesting edit or something. I don't know. If anyone's interested, here's how you take off extra diegetic sounds. So it's the sound you hear, the kind of clink you hear when you break someone's structure. I mean, it affects almost every interesting sound. For those that don't know, diegetic sounds are basically story-related sounds to place emphasis on things that are happening within any kind of form of cinema or art or music. They're not very indicative of what the characters within the context of the story would be hearing themselves. They're basically sounds that are just only meant for the audience, or in this case, the gamer. You can actually take that off here. That's why you don't hear takedowns. You don't hear the sounds that you normally do when enemies are killed. So I'm applying that again. The goal is to make it feel like it's from the perspective of the protagonist, which I think will be really fun. Obviously, no subtitles as well, as you can see. I've also cranked the music down, as you can see. So yeah, we're gonna give this a shot. But I wanted to let everyone else know what I was thinking, what I was up to, and try it out yourself. Peace. Just a quick little addendum here. I forgot to mention that there's an element to this that's totally optional, and that's the difficulty. I think the average Sifu enjoyer should be able to run this on Disciple. I think many of the elements, such as unlimited threats, bridges that gap, in challenge. I also forgot to mention that I am dropping the squat stage on this mode tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And speaking of staying tuned, I'm going to segue here to, man, I'm so close to 1K subs. It's really crazy. I'm just so grateful for everyone who's been tuning in, and I'm so lucky that I've been able to share my love of this game with so many strangers out there, and even people who've become not strangers and become, friends of mine. So thanks to everyone so much. And if you're lurking, or this is your first time watching me, please drop this a like and a sub. Join me on this quest. I have a 5-part advice series planned. As I said, I'm dropping every stage of this mode throughout the weeks. I'm also going to try other games in a very similar vein, such as Black Myth Wukong, Phantom Blade Zero. I might try to get my hands on something like Raw Metal. So lots planned for this channel going forward. Really appreciate everyone tuning in. Give this a whirl. Let me know how you do in the comments. I'm really excited, and peace.